Shalom family. I wanted to make a video real quick. It's going to be titled Birthdays Are Pagan, Not a Hebrew Israelite Custom, right? So a few people have been asking me about this lately, about celebrating birthdays that are new to the truth. And the first thing you need to understand about birthdays is that they are a pagan, they have pagan origins, right? It's a pagan tradition, a pagan custom. So we're going to go ahead and start in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10 and verse 2. It says, "Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them." Right? So the first part of the verse says, "Thus saith Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen." So we're not supposed to learn the way of the heathen or do the things that the heathen nations do, right? Verse 3, "For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe." So the first part of the verse says, "For the customs of the people are vain," right? So vain meaning worldly, breathly, vapor, or useless, right? So the customs, these customs, heathen customs and traditions, like it says in verse 2 and 3, are vain and they're useless, right? And they're actually against the Most High. So we're going to go to Genesis chapter 40, starting on verse 22. So this is the first account of any birthdays in the Bible, right? Genesis 40 and 20. "And it came to pass the third day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants." So Pharaoh having a feast on his birthday, right? Like most people do nowadays. "He made a feast unto all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them." So on his birthday, right, Pharaoh, he had a big celebration, or a big feast is what they said, and he actually hung his chief baker on his birthday, right? So we know we're not supposed to follow the customs or the ways of the heathen, but also, so Pharaoh was the king of Egypt at the time. So this is Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 3. "After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, ye shall not do." So it says, after the doings of the land of Egypt, where you lived, where you dwelt, to the Israelites, shall ye not do. So this is again the Most High telling us in the scriptures. This is actually in Leviticus, so this is in the law. We're not supposed to follow after the things that the Egyptians were doing, right? So it first says, learn not the way of the heathen, and then it's more specific. Or actually, first it says, learn not the way of the Egyptians, because this is in Leviticus. And then in Jeremiah 10 and 2, it says, learn not the customs and the ways of the heathen, right? So then if we go to the only other account, or Salakia, actually, let's go to Job. Book of Job, chapter 1, starting on verse 4. "And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day." So Job's sons were feasting for their day, right, for their birthday. "And sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them." So again, celebrating. What do most people do on their birthdays? They call the family members to come and eat and drink, right? Verse 5. "And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of all of them. For Job said, It may be that my sons have sinned, and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually." Right? So if you read verse 1 of Job chapter 1 and 1, it says, "There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared Yahweh and eschewed evil," right? So the reason that he when their feasting was over, the reason that he sent and sanctified them and raised up early and offered burnt burnt offerings according to the number of all of his children, because he's like he says here, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed Yahweh in their hearts, right? So he knew that it was a bad thing for them to be doing, to be celebrating their day or be celebrating their birthday, Salakia. So this is the book of Matthew chapter 14, and we're gonna start on verse 6, right? So this is the only other account of somebody celebrating a birthday in the Bible, right? So it says, but when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod, or Herod, whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask, right? So it's on Herod's birthday, right? And he promised Herodias' daughter, who danced before him, that he would give her whatever she wanted, right? He made an oath to her. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, give me here John Baptist's head in a charger. So he made an oath to her, and then her mom made her say, or told her before, to ask for John the Baptist's head, right? So, and the king was sorry, nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given to her. So the king didn't want to do it, right? But because he made the oath and everybody heard him make this oath, everyone that was sitting with him eating, he said he would do it, right? He demanded or commanded it to be given her. And he said, and beheaded John in the prison. So again, another account of a heathen celebrating his birthday, right? And a man being put to death, right? So coming back to Jeremiah 10:2, thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen. And then verse 3 says, for the customs of the people are vain, right? So not only this, but if we go into Exodus, right? Exodus chapter 20, what is the first commandment that the Most High gave us? This is Exodus chapter 20, verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Right? So, verse 5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them or serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. Right? So, you have to understand that birthdays are a type of self-worship, and also other people are worshiping you in a sense, right? They're singing to you, they're praising you, and like it says here that I, Yahweh thy God, am a jealous God. So you can't be doing these things, especially when they are a custom of the heathens, right? So other than that, I mean, if you look back at history, the first people to celebrate birthdays were the Egyptians, right? And then after that was the Persians in the Persian society, and then the Greeks. And the Greeks actually worshipped the god of the moon, which is why they made the cakes in a circular shape, right? Because they thought it was worshiping the moon god, and they would put candles on it and blow out the candles, and they held the belief that the smoke would reach up to the moon and he would hear their wishes, right? Which is where birthday wishes come from. So if you're coming to serve the Most High, you have to put those birthdays and all these other heathen traditions to the side. And if you want to learn more about what you are supposed to be observing or celebrating in the holy days, go ahead and go to Leviticus 23, and I'll go ahead and make a video on that pretty soon as well, because I know at least a couple brothers that were asking about that as well. So I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh Bashem, Mashiach Yahweh Shai, and Shalom.